Okay, so in this playlist we're going to be looking at expanding double brackets, and what I've written here is that you should already know how to expand single brackets like these things. So you might like to pause and just have a quick go, but I'm just going to check that we can do these. So you multiply everything on inside the bracket by the number that's outside, or the thing that's outside. So you get 3x plus 12 for this first one. The second one, 5x times 2 is 10x, and 5x times xy is minus 5x squared y. And then for our last one, x squared times 2x is 2x cubed, and x squared times 3 is 3x squared. If you can't do those, you need to do some practice on some of that stuff as well. Well, I said, what about if there were double brackets? For example, what if we had x plus 3, x plus 5, where the thing that's outside is actually two things being added together and inside brackets? Well, just like this part, this number here means that it's multiplying by this section, and this thing is also multiplying by this thing. But we're going to try it with numbers, because sometimes that can mean that things are a little bit easier to understand what's going on. So if I was going to do 46 multiplied by 27, well, I know that I can do the same thing as saying that it's a 40 plus a 6 multiplied by a 20 plus a 7, because we know that we can rewrite 46 as 40 plus 6 and 20 as 20 plus 7. So this is the same thing as writing it without the multiplication symbol in between, because we know in algebra we don't really use that multiplication symbol in between. Now, how do we actually do 46 times 27? Well, one of the ways that people do this, if they were doing the grid method when they learnt multiplication, is they might say it as a 40 and a 6 and a 20 and a 7, and they would multiply each of those parts together. And this is going to be the same thing as expanding this double bracket over here. So the first thing that you might come up with is the 40 times the 20, which is 800. So that was found by doing the 40 multiplied by the 20, and I'm going to write it over here as well. 40 multiplied by 20 was 800. Then the next thing you'd do is probably the 40 multiplied by the 7, which is 280. So the 40 multiplied by the 7, that is 280. And then what you would do is the 6 times the 20, which is 120. The 6 times the 20, which is 120. And then the last thing, if you were trying to find the answer to this, is you would also do the 6 times the 7, which is 42. And the 6 times the 7 is 42. And what you'd do with this stuff inside the grid is you'd add all of that stuff together to come up with the answer. Now, we're not that bothered about what the answer is, but the answer would be 800 plus 280 plus 120 plus 42, so that's 1,242, which, let's just double check, is 46 times 27. So we've got that the answer is going to be 1,242. So this process that we've just done over here is what double brackets expanding is going to look like. What it actually means is that you take each thing that's in the first bracket and you multiply it by each thing in the second bracket. The 800 was the 40 times the 20, then we had the 40 times the 7, the 6 times the 20, and the 6 times the 7. And then you add those things together to come up with the answer. So this is how it works with numbers. It's going to work exactly the same way with letters. We're going to start off with this quite simple type where it's just got positives in between. And we've got two methods. We've got the one where you multiply everything in the first by everything in the second, and then the second one is a grid method that looks really similar to the grid method of multiplication. So I'm actually going to do the one that we've talked about, the x plus 3, x plus 5 that we've got over here, and I'm going to do both methods to begin with. So I'm going to start off by multiplying the x by the x to get an x squared, the x by a positive 5 to get a positive 5x, and then I'm going to do the 3 by the x to get a 3x, and then I'm going to do the 3 by the 5 to get a 15. I'm just going to quickly pull this and just have it down here so that I've got enough space. Now, it's asked me to do two things in this question. It's asked me to expand and it's asked me to simplify. So I think there's something additional that I can do in this question. I can also simplify the like terms. Now, the like terms are going to be the 5x and the 3x. The 5x and the 3x are going to simplify when you add those together to an 8x. So when you expand this bracket, which was with algebra, it followed this same process as what we would have done with numbers, but we got some things like x squared and stuff like this here. So this is our final answer of it being simplified. Now, the second method is the grid method. It's really similar to what we've just done in this one, where you put both the two things that were inside this first bracket, you put them in the first column and then the other ones here, and it can be switched. It doesn't really matter which way. Everything inside gets multiplied. So I could do x plus 3, x plus 5, everything inside the grid multiplies. So when I fill in the gaps, x times x is x squared, x times 3 is 3x, x times 5 is 5x, and it's a positive 5 times a positive 3, which is positive 15. And then what you can see is that these things that we have here are identical to these ones that we have, so you end up with the same answer. Okay, so I'm going to do both methods and maybe go a little bit quicker with some of these. So I'll do the x times the x, which is going to give me x squared. I'm going to do the x times the 7, which is 7x, the 4 times the x, which is 4x, and the 4 times the 7, which is 28. These two that we have in the middle, the 7x and the 4x, you can add those together to get 11x. So it's x squared plus 11x plus 28. Now if I was going to do it in the grid method, I'm going to be doing the x plus 4 and the x plus 7, so that when you multiply everything, you get your x squared, your 4x, you get your 7x, and you get your 28. And so again, you can see how the bits that I'm going to highlight here in blue are exactly the same as these ones that we had over here. Okay, they could be written in a slightly different way. It's still going to work out just the same. So I'm going to do for this one, I'm going to do the 2 times by the y, which is 2y, the 2 times the 3, which is 6, the y times the y, which is y squared, and the y times the 3, which is 3y. Now this time, the one that we can add together are going to be the 2y and the 3y, which is going to be 5y. Now usually we always start off with the squared one, so I'm going to write y squared plus 5y plus 6 for the answer. Now in the grid method, you could do it as 2 plus y if you want to. You could write it as y plus 2 because they're the same as each other. I'm going to stick with 2 plus y and y plus 3. We're multiplying these together, so I guess I should put that multiply symbol. So that's 2y, that's y squared, that is a positive 6, and that one here is going to be a 3y. That's a positive 2y and it's a positive 3y. So when we add all of these bits together, you end up with exactly the same thing that we had on this side over here. Okay, I'm going to quickly do these ones. These ones this time have got some negatives, okay? So I said here that we're going to start off with positive. We're going to do some though where the numbers could be negative. And we're going to do these 9 and then we're going to pause the video at that point. So I can do the x times x to get x squared, x times minus 5, which is minus 5, x, I get minus 2x here, and a negative 2 times negative 5, that is going to be a plus 10. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to simplify these two that are in the middle. So that's minus 5x minus 2x. That's negative 5 take away 2. Now negative 5 take away 2, think to yourself, it's going to be negative 7. So this simplifies to x squared minus 7x, and you still have the plus 10. There's no further simplifying that can happen. If you like the grid method, you have x minus 2 and x minus 5. You get x squared minus 2x minus 5x, and then the two negatives when they multiply, you get positive 10, and then you get everything in here is the same as this. It just depends which one you prefer. Okay, so we got y times y, that's y squared. Y times minus 7, that's minus 7y. 3 times y is positive 3y, and 3 times minus 7 is minus 21. These two are going to simplify, so that's minus 7 plus 3. That's minus 4. You can always check this on a calculator if you want to. Minus 7 plus 3 is minus 4. So it's y squared minus 4y minus 21. That's our final answer for this. And again, if it was going in here, y plus 3, y minus 7, y squared, 3y minus 7y, and minus 21. All of these parts are being multiplied to get the red ones. Okay, so this one, we're going to have the 2 multiplied by y. That's going to give me 2y. The 2 times minus 8 is minus 16. The y times y is y squared, and the y times minus 8 is minus 8y. So just be careful of the ones that you can collect, which are the like terms. It's the 2y minus 8y. And 2 take away 8 is minus 6. Now we start off with y squared, minus 6y, minus 16. That's our answer. So that is going to be, I'm going to put the y minus 8 over here. Doesn't matter which way around you do it, and the 2 plus y. Multiplying all of this, you get a 2y minus 16, your plus y squared, and your minus 8y. And again, these things are the same as here. So you can decide whether you like doing these arrow sorts of things or the grids. I'm going to do 3 more. This time they have got some squaring that goes on with them, okay? If there is squaring, what this actually means is that a plus 2 squared means it's multiplying by itself. It is a plus 2 a plus 2. Sometimes when people see this, they go, oh, I think it's just a squared plus 4, because they just square each part, but it's not going to be that. Let's actually see what it is by doing this expansion. So we get the a times a, which is a squared, the a times 2, which is 2a, the 2 times a, which is 2a, and the 2 times 2, which is 4. These ones can simplify to a 4a, so we get a squared plus 4a plus 4. Again, if you did it in the grid, you have a plus 2, a plus 2. That's a squared plus 2a plus 2a plus 4, same thing. So this one is going to be multiplied by itself. Oh yeah, notice how it's not a squared plus 4. You've got this extra 4a, so you can't go straight from this to this. You have to write the brackets out twice to help you. Eventually you'll be able to do it without writing them out twice, but right now you're just getting started. So t times t is t squared, t times minus 4 is minus 4t, minus 4 times t is minus 4t, and minus 4 times minus 4 is a negative 4 times negative 4. That gives you a positive 16. So I now need to do minus 4t minus 4t. I'm trying to do negative 4, take away 4. Think to yourself what it's going to be. It's negative 8. So you get t squared minus 8t plus 16 is our answer for this one. Again, you can see how this is going to go if we did it on the grid, t minus 4 and t minus 4. It's t squared minus 4t from those two, minus 4t and plus 16. This one looks slightly different. Let's see how this is going to be related to the question that we have above. So it's going to be a 4 minus t and a 4 minus t. 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times minus t is minus 4t. Minus t times 4, that's minus 4t, and then the minus t times minus t, a negative times a negative is a positive. So we have these two same ones here simplifying, so they're going to simplify to minus 8t, and I said we usually start with the squared part, so it's t squared minus 8t plus 16. That's really weird. This answer is exactly the same as this answer. That tells me that these two things must be the same as each other. That tells me that t minus 4 squared is the same as 4 minus t squared. I wonder why that might be true. Think about why this could be true. Well, the reason is because this one is like almost like the negative version of this one, and when you square a negative you get the same thing as when you square the positive version of that. Don't worry if you haven't understood that last part. That last part is a little bit more tricky, but I just wanted you to notice that there's this pattern. Again, if you fill in the grid, you get 16 minus 40 minus 40, and the negative t times negative t is plus t squared, and you'll see these four things are the same as these. So in the next set of examples, we're going to be changing it so that instead of there just being a 1 or a letter by itself, there might be a number in front of the letter 2. Found this video helpful? Then why not drop it a like and consider subscribing to my channel. If you'd like the next video in the playlist, you can click here to be taken straight to it. And as always, wishing you the very best for all your studies.